when someone aggresses upon us, we have to make a decision. We have to decide, are we going to push back, or is it better just to fold our hand and walk away? So you're thinking about taking on the narcissist. You've been watching my playlist on how to counter-manipulate sociopaths and narcissists, and you're all excited. Yeah, I'm gonna take down that narcissist. I'm gonna take down that sociopath. I'm ready. I'm educated. Let's go for it. Well, hold your horses, because even though I make a lot of videos about counter manipulation and how to get nasty manipulators to voluntarily disengage without even knowing they've been counter manipulated, well, before you get all excited with this new knowledge that you've taken in, step back and remember that even educated empaths can get conned by narcissists and sociopaths. We are not immune. It still happens to us. And that's why, if you have decided that you want to go balls to the wall, you are ready to battle the narcissist or the sociopath because you don't want them to get away with it. Let's say they've broken the law and you want to collect evidence and turn them in. Whatever it is. Maybe you just want evidence for your own personal satisfaction. It doesn't matter. That's your private business. But what I'm here to say is please step back. It's really important to think about what you want to do and what you are prepared to do. It's also a really good idea to get some backup support. I do not recommend going after a narcissist or a sociopath alone. That is a really bad idea. In fact, if you do that, you're probably setting yourself up for a big tragedy. Not always, but it's something that would make me worried, even for myself, for anyone. Before you even come up with a plan, I highly recommend you go to someone and tell them about what's happening. Call a free peer support hotline. I would recommend reaching out to somebody anonymously just to talk about what's going on and what you're planning on doing, because we all have blind spots. There might be things going on that we don't see, and that's why it's, in my opinion, important to have someone to help you come up with a feasible plan. And unfortunately, a lot of targets don't have tons of money to hire a professional private investigator. Maybe you could contact some private investigators in your area and ask if they could help you out. That's one route. At least a private investigator could clue you in as far as the laws go in your community and help you out with some ideas if you want to, if it's legal in your area to record the narcissist being verbally abusive to you, or if you wanted to videotape the narcissist destroying your belongings or lunging at you, etc. I also want to validate your desire for justice. I want to validate your passion about not letting someone get away with breaking the law or aggressing upon you or beating you up or verbally abusing you or threatening you, etc. In fact, I want to say that if someone has beaten you up, if someone has stolen your belongings, if someone has gotten you fired from a job, if someone has been harassing you, if someone has threatened you or destroyed your belongings, etc., and you didn't want satisfaction, if you didn't want some sort of closure or justice, I would ask you, are you drinking or doing drugs? Have you been diagnosed with a mental health condition? Because it's a normal reaction. Not wanting to do anything is not a normal reaction, in my opinion. And people who don't get angry and aren't waving their hands in the air saying, I'm gonna get this narcissist, I'm gonna get him. Usually, in my opinion, it means that this person, and I've been there, we're repressing our emotions. We're in denial. We're in shock. We shut down. I totally get it. But when we do wake up, like I did eventually, my head just became obsessed with, why is this happening? Why did I let this happen? I want justice. I want closure. I need to do something. But we don't know what to do. We feel powerless because the narcissist or the sociopath, they've already destroyed us. A lot of times, there's also a lot of fear that's holding us back. But some people are able to push through that fear, and they are they're ready to go, and they're ready to videotape that narcissist, or they're ready to confront them with a witness. But before you move forward, it's really important to really think through what you want. You need to answer that question. You need to answer the question for yourself. What is my end goal? Because if you don't know what your end goal is, then it means that you're unsure about what you want. For example, let's say they stole something of yours and you have it on videotape, let's say. And now you're thinking, oh, do I want to broadcast this video of my ex-girlfriend breaking into my apartment and stealing my stuff? Because there could be consequences. For example, what if it's illegal to record someone in the state or the country that you're living in? That's my point, that's why it's really important to talk to someone about the laws in your community so that you know what your options are, and also talk to someone about what are the possible outcomes for you. How could that affect your reputation? Unfortunately, a lot of times when we out someone, it draws attention to us as well. And then we can be branded as the person who was the fool who got conned. It can go in a lot of different directions. And that's why it's really important to talk to someone, ideally someone who has been through it before. Ideally someone who has not only grown up with narcissists or sociopaths, but someone who has also has a lot of shared experiences with you. That's why I am such an advocate of peer-to-peer support. And it's because when you're talking to someone who also grew up with narcissistic or sociopathic family members, they can absolutely relate to what you're talking about. So if you've been in a relationship, let's say with a very nasty narcissist who has been emotionally and verbally abusive, talking to someone who has gone through the process, that person is probably going to be able to give you a lot of great suggestions. You can also pay close attention to their failures and where they went wrong, because you can learn from that. You can say, oh, wow, that happened to you. Ooh, maybe I don't want to do that. Don't rush into anything. And I'm not saying that I don't think that people should move forward or try to counter manipulate in order to protect yourself from further assaults or further aggression. I'm just saying that before you act, if you have time, sometimes we don't. Stuff blows up in our face and we have to make decisions very quickly. I get that too. But if you have a little bit of time, try to talk to someone. If you have any cash, hire a professional to help you with your goal. If for some reason you don't have anyone to talk to, or you've reached out to the free peer hotlines that are going to be listed below in the description box, and you can't find anyone who has a shared experience, who can really relate to what you're going through and what your choices are, what you're trying to decide, then get out a piece of paper and a pen and write down what you want. Write down what your goals are. Why do you want to move forward with whatever it is you want to do? Maybe it's confronting the narcissist. Maybe it's trying to get them to admit to what they did while you're videotaping them or recording the conversation. Whatever it is, just think it through. My concern is that you stay safe. The number one goal is to protect yourself from further harm. And if that means that you need to produce some evidence for your own closure or to show someone else, then I get it. And I respect that. And I support you. And I'm just saying to be thoughtful and don't rush into anything. Because when you rush without a plan, or you start doing things that you're not prepared to follow through with, then you might end up causing more harm to yourself, emotionally, financially, physically. Oh, I was going to say that if you don't have the money to hire a professional, then you can always try to connect with a peer, someone in the sociopathic or narcissistic recovery community online, or someone on YouTube, and offer to do peer-to-peer support, which means that you listen to their problems and offer suggestions, and they listen to your problems and hopefully they offer you some suggestions. I'm a huge advocate of peer-to-peer support because it's free. And us poor girls don't got that cash to spend on private investigators and expensive attorneys and expensive psychologists, etc. So I'm going to give an example of a time when someone engaged in some illegal activity against me, and I had hard evidence proving that they engaged in this activity. I spoke to a police officer and found out that what they did was a felony, and I chose not to hand that evidence in to the police. I didn't even need to sue that person or prosecute that person. I didn't even need to hire a lawyer. All I needed to do was drop the evidence off at the local police station. And the police officer said it's almost a guarantee that the state would end up prosecuting that person. So that was a huge burden for me. In the end, that person ended up calling my bluff. And because I told this person, you need to right this wrong or I'm going to hand this evidence into the police, and they called my bluff because they know me. This person knew me very well. I couldn't do it. Psychologically, I was unable. This idea that I would be the reason that someone could possibly be in jail, it was a huge burden for me. I still don't know how I feel about the choice that I made. On one hand, I think I'm an absolute fool. This person broke the law on purpose, and then they called my bluff, meaning that they knew what they were doing. This was pure evil, by the way, pure evil. I know that I had every right to drop that evidence off with the police and let the state do their thing. And I would sit back. I wouldn't even have to be involved. But whatever it is inside of me, I don't aggress upon people. I don't do things like that. I'm a very passive person. So for me to even stick up for myself is a really big deal. It's difficult for me to say something mean to someone who just said something mean to me. I don't know what's wrong with me. On one hand, I think, oh, maybe that means it's because I'm a good person and I don't like hurting people. But then, on the other hand, I think I must be mildly retarded to let someone get away with that. Why would I let someone abuse me and not stick up for myself? So I'm still very conflicted about the choice that I made. But in the end, maybe the answer will come to me one day. One day I'll wake up and be enlightened and I will say, oh, I'm glad that I didn't do that. Or maybe I'll think to myself, I regret not doing that. I just don't know. I tend to take a really long time to process stuff. We're talking years. So I'm okay with that. The answers will hopefully come to me one day as I process what happened and my choices. And that's why I'm making this video today, because ultimately, when someone aggresses upon us, we have to make a decision. We have to decide, are we going to push back? Or is it better just to fold our hand and walk away? Well, there is no right or wrong answer. There's no universal right or wrong answer for everyone, because everyone has a unique situation. And not everyone has a tough skin, thick skin, a protective armor around them. A lot of people, especially targets of abuse, we are broken down. We don't have a lot of energy to give. That's why I think it's important for targets to talk about what's happening to them to someone, to a peer, someone who is familiar with narcissistic abuse. Someone who can be a sounding board and tell you, girlfriend or boyfriend, that is a bad idea, or yes, that's a great idea. And don't just listen to one person. If you can, try to get different opinions. You know, you could always post your question anonymously on 4 different forum boards that talk about sociopathy or narcissism, and then compare what different people are recommending. As always, stay strong and get toxic people out of your life. Bye.